to Power Conversations podcast by What's Your Superpower TV. This podcast features conversations of overcoming by faith and pushing through to fulfill a purpose-driven life. This podcast is hosted by CEO and best-selling author Nadia Francois. Welcome to the broadcast. Hey, everybody. How are you doing tonight? I am your host, Nadia Francois. Welcome to Power Conversations Podcast Live. Tonight, we have some amazing women joining us, including the Visionary For the Love of Caregiving anthology. We are going to talk about the book and some upcoming activities that she has going on. Also, Miss Constance Willard is joining us tonight, one of the amazing co-authors. I need each of you to share this broadcast out. Share. Invite someone to be a viewer. Also, connect with us on our social media pages. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, What's Your Superpower TV, and Power Conversations podcast and magazine. Connect with us. Now, let's get to the book discussion. Hey, ladies. How are you?
Hi. Hi. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome, honey. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I am going to start out allowing the visionary Miss Sherrell Mims to introduce herself.
Okay, so my name is Sherrell D. Mims. You got to put the D in there for delightful. We have a good time with the letter D.
Yes, we do.
My name is Sherrell D. Mims. I am the visionary author of the book that we have coming out. Well, let me give you a little background before we get to the book. I am the CEO and founder of Global Caregivers Network. This is a Facebook private group exclusively for caregivers. Also, I'm the CEO of Global Caregiver Speakers. That is also exclusively for caregivers, where they share their story on a virtual stage, which we had a virtual originally. However, we're going to step out into the live venues in 2023. And so with that being said, Global Caregivers Network was established in June 2021. And that was for caregivers to come on the platform and just share their stories. It was like a private setting, right? You come in, we can help you. We give you feedback. We pray for you. And it's a private group on Facebook. As you know, a lot of people don't like to share everything, but they will share some things about what they do as a caregiver. Not even 6 months later, on Christmas Day, 12/25/21, God had given me the vision to go forth with Global Caregiver Speakers. Now, the speakers is all about coming to the virtual stage, sharing your story. And as you all may know, some of us are professional and family caregivers, which is myself and also my co-author, Constance Willard. So we've been in a professional field for some years. I stopped counting after 20. Okay, I know Constance has some edge on me. She's been out there a long time, and she's going to share her story. So that's where I'm at with everything right now. I'm also a 4-time best-selling #1 international best-selling author. I am a family and a professional caregiver advocate. I advocate for family caregivers. This is what everything is all about. This is my passion. This is what I do. And guess what, good people? I'm on vacation every day. So that's my story. And as Les Brown would say, I'm sticking to it.
I love it. Thank you, Queen, for that wonderful intro. Now, I just have to ask you to tell us, how did you, well, first I have 2 questions real quick. The first one is, define caregiver for our audience.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So what is caregiver? Caregiving is defined as anyone that takes care of someone who is unable to do the activities of daily living. What is activities of daily living? Bathing, your personal hygiene, cooking, cleaning, taking them to their appointment, doctor's appointments. And not just that, what else? Going for a walk, cooking for them, doing things around the house for them. Those are the activities of daily living. A caregiver steps in when a person is unable to do these activities of daily living. This is where the caregiver comes in at. Anytime your independence, right? You can do things by yourself on your own. You don't need no help. Anytime your independence is taken from you, you may or may not need a caregiver. In most cases, you will need a caregiver. However, we do know that some people may not desire to have a caregiver, and that's okay. But we strongly advise to get someone in to help you with your activities of daily living. That's my definition of caregiving. That's the basic definition of caregiving. It's just a matter of you're not able to do your ADLs, activities of daily living.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And secondly, how did you get into the author sector?
You better come on with it. Thank you for that question. You know what? That is so wonderful. That's a great question, right? So let's go back. So I got in contact. I think I came into authorship when I came on Dr. Sherrell Wood. I got to put a plug in there for Dr. Sherrell. She has snowballed this thing for me. And ever since then, I'm telling you, it's so much in my belly that has to come forth. I did a anthology with Dr. Sherrell. I think it was the Win Book, Volume 3. Ever since then, I took that and I just ran with it. There is so much that we have. It's stories, ladies and gentlemen. We have abundance of story. Why? On the inside of us. I mean, just coming up through childhood, adolescence, adulthood, we all have stories to share. And so this is how this all got started with being an author. Dr. Sherrell Wood, I connected with her, got into her anthology, and then from there, it just snowballed. And this is where I'm at now.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, now let's get Miss Constance in here. Welcome, Queen.
Yes, come on, Miss Constance.
Hey. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Come on and introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am Constance Woolard. I am a registered nurse of 35 years. I am a subject matter leadership expert. And I'm also a coach. I am a mindset coach. And my mantle and calling is motivating people to become their best. I'm a 9-time best-selling author. Yes, 9 times. I'm also a global international speaker. I just recently spoke back in April in Paris, France, on mental health issues. I am a mother. I am a grandmother, and just a lover of God's creation.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that wonderful intro. Now, Miss Constance, how did you venture into the heart of a caregiver? No, for the Love of Caregiving anthology.
Well, I met Sherrell. We did a project with Les Brown and Dr. Sherrell Wood, SpeakerCon. And we did that anthology there. And that's how Sherrell and I met. And we connected immediately. And we remained connected since then. That's been over a year now. And so she was telling her story. She spoke at the Leadership Experience Tour a few months prior to me going, and she talked about her experience with her fiance and how she became a caregiver and what she went through. And then I shared with her my experiences caring for both of my parents when they were young. And so that's how we just began to gel. And then she, during the Christmas holidays, she just kind of disappeared because we talked every day. And I'm like, where's Sherrell? And then she came back and told me what was going on. And she had been working on getting this caregiving speakers bureau together. And, I joined in with her. We had our first platform, and it was just wonderful. We did some other things. And then she announced the anthology. Here I am. She's participated in my anthology that's coming out this fall. And so that's how I got into it. I'm a professional caregiver as well. I advocate for caregivers, but I know what it's like to be a caregiver for a loved one. I was a caregiver for my mom. and then years later for my dad. And even though someone may not be sick, if you are a parent and a grandparent, you are a lifetime caregiver.
Yeah.
And don't think because your children grow up that it goes away. No, the older they get, the more they need you.
Exactly.
I'm starting to learn that.
The older they get, the more they need you.
Yes.
Yes. So we are caregivers for life.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your chapter, Miss Constance. What did you write about in the anthology?
My chapter is about, making decisions, making that hard decision, when you're trying to decide what's best for your loved one, when you can't be there 100%. So it's about decisions.
Okay.
Ultimate decisions. That's the name of my chapter. Just making those hard decisions, when your caregiver can no longer live in their home and you have to figure out a way to break it to them that when they leave here today, they won't be back.
Wow.
I had to take my dad with me he was living in Gulfport, Mississippi. He had 2 strokes and he could not stay by himself anymore. And he was determined he was going to live in that house. And I'm like, you cannot. So I was initially trying to come home every weekend, driving from Iowa, 10 hours to Mississippi every weekend.
Wow.
And back at work Monday morning. I'm like, you know what? I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And I did that for like 6 or 8 weeks. And I'm like, you know what? It's not fair to my son. I'm taking him out of school every Friday. We're hitting the road, riding all night to be there Saturday, spend with him, and then Sunday evening we're back on the road. And then I'm at work looking crazy Monday morning, and he's at school looking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I moved my dad to Des Moines, Iowa. He didn't talk to me the whole flight because he was upset. And he was angry because I had taken him out of his home. He called his family and told them that I brought him to this godforsaken place and dropped him off. Which was not true. It was a brand new building. He had a private suite. He could look outside and see the wildlife, beautiful grounds. But let him tell his family, oh, honey, I had picked him up and dropped him off at this godforsaken place. And then the next day, he looks out the window and see all this natural beauty. And he calls my little cousin who had called the night before and told her this. Oh, I have a nice room. This, that, and the other. She said, well, wait a minute. Did you move from where you were last night? And he says, no. She said, well, that's not what you said last night. So he had to calm down.
Yeah, he had to calm down.
But he had to
take it all in.
He had to get to that place of calming down. So that's where I came up with my chapter, decisions.
That's
making those hard decisions when you really don't want to, but you have to.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That is. Now, Miss Sherrell, I know as the visionary, you probably have read everyone's chapter. Tell us a couple of more instances of what the stories include in the anthology.
Well, this is the thing too, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not read everyone's chapter yet, so we're still, So
you're getting it together. That's okay. Tell me what you are going to put in there.
You know what? That's the good part about it, because as I am reading them, they are very interesting. It was this the one in particular. She shared how she took care of her mom as she was in military. She had to end up bringing her mother on. I think she brought on the base with her. She had to take care of her where she was at on the base at one time. And this is the thing. She even shared how she could not even get help from her siblings.
Wow.
It's just something about when you ask for help, you just cannot get the help.
Yeah.
I mean, you expect your siblings to come in and step in, but for some reason, it does not always fall that way.
Yeah.
And so I let people to, reach out to resources in the community.
Yeah.
There are respite places in the community. It doesn't always have to be your family. A stranger will almost treat you better than your family would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In most cases. So reach out to those in the community, especially if you feel that you need some respite care to just take care of yourself, right? And just, if whatever you need to do to get that rest, reach out into the community, because sometimes family is just not going to be there.
Yeah. Now, we've talked about the caregiving, giving the caregiver, giving the care. What
Right.
about your self-care as a caregiver? And I'm gonna ask Miss Constance to chime in
Mhm.
on that first, and then we'll come back to you, Miss Sherrell.
You know,
Absolutely. Thank
I'm
you.
glad you asked me that question because
That is a
self-care
question.
is so important as a caregiver, as a parent, as a
Mhm.
spiritual advisor. We have to take care of ourselves and refuel and recharge and reset, because if we do not, we're not able to be that vessel to pour into others. If we're empty, we can't fill others. So we
Mhm.
have to have that self-care if it's only 15 minutes. I heard my mother say one day, I'm going to take a vacation this weekend if I don't do anything but go on the beach and eat a sandwich for
Yeah,
That's
15
right.
minutes.
Mhm.
I need that time. And
yeah,
so we all need that me time. And a lot of people say, well, I go get my pedicure and I get my manicure. Yeah, that's self-care, but it's not emotional and spiritual self-care.
yeah,
Prayer, meditation, reading your scriptures, songs of praise. You need all of those things. That is all part of your self-care, because you got mind, body, and spirit you got to take care of.
yeah.
Mhm.
And so you have to fill it all so that you can remain whole and do what it is that God has you to do.
Amen.
Love it. I love it. Now, Miss Sherrell, you chime in on that self-care tip.
Absolutely. So, what is self-care? Self-care is number one, taking care of you personally. It's a personal thing. Number one, that's the first thing you have to do. So we all talk about the manicures, the pedicure, all of these other entities, which are wonderful. Self-care is defined to me as selfless. You're putting your all in all into someone else. And a lot of times, what do? We take the back seat to take care of someone else. And what do? We neglect, in some cases, of taking care of ourselves. What do I mean by that? I mean, we neglect what? Taking care of our hygiene. We may not even, we may just forget to just, do the little things, brush your teeth, wash your face, whatever the situation may be, the activities of daily living, right? Because we so caught up in someone else's care. But self-care, remember this: take care of yourself first, everyone else is second. This way you have that spiritually, physically, mentally, right? That mental alertness. You have a lot of people out here on fumes. You understand what I'm saying? They working on fumes out here. Why? Because we're all what? Sleep deprived. I'm sleep deprived, and whether people admit it or not, they are just sleep deprived. We do not get the recommended daily allowance of sleep, which they recommend what? 6 to 8 hours uninterrupted sleep. Who's doing that? I get mine in. I get mine. I get my sleep in. Why? Because it's so important. However, if you do not, please, please, please take a break, eat good, take care of yourself. Just be patient with you.
Yeah,
Be patient with yourself, man. Just be patient with you. Remember, you're taking on a whole nother entity of another person, and it takes patience to do that. So be patient with yourself. Thank you for that
Mhm.
question, Queen Nadia.
you're welcome,
Amen.
Queen. You're welcome. All right, Miss Constance.
Yes.
So, of course, when we write, it is therapeutic. It helps us, get through some things. Sometimes. How did writing in this project affect you mentally?
But writing itself is just for me, because I've always journaled, even as a kid. And
Mhm.
it's just like, just it's like sometimes it's like a self-revealing process. It's very therapeutic. And growing up, that's what I wanted to be, was a writer. And I wanted to be a journalism major. And my parents were like, no, You need to find something that can pay your bills. And you may or may not sell a book. So,
Right.
no, ma'am.
Right.
So I put writing on a back burner. And when the pandemic hit in 2020, and I was stranded, I left home to stay gone for 4 days and ended up staying 4 months because I was stranded in Massachusetts because they grounded travel. I couldn't get home.
Wow.
All the stores were closed, the malls were closed, the theaters were closed. I didn't know anybody. So I had to find something to occupy my time. So I started back to reading more. I reread all the classics I read in junior high school. I
Wow.
read Dante's Inferno for a second time.
Wow.
And then I started writing. I just started writing. I picked it back up and I started to write. And a friend of mine had an anthology and she asked me to be in it. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to do this one or done and say, hey, I'm a published author and boom, I'm done. Well, here we go 9 things later. Number 10 and 11 on the horizon.
Yes.
And I'm still at it. I am still at it. So for me, it's like a healing process, but it's also a self-revelation for me. I'm able to identify things about myself that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it does for me.
Wow.
And so with this caregivers anthology, it just kind of brought back some memories of me taking care of my parents, some of the conversations that we had during the time when they were sick, some things that they told me as I was growing up. So it was like a good reminiscing as well. So yeah, that's what it did for me.
Good.
Beautiful. Wow. That's beautiful. Very therapeutic.
So how important is it for caregivers to get this support that you guys are putting out there?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Especially when you don't have the family support. Now, I had some family support because I'm an only child, but my mother's younger sister lived right next door to them. And so she helped out a lot. My dad pitched in. I had a couple of friends that would help from time to time. So I had that support. But with my dad, it was just me.
Yeah.
It was just me. And the burden was on me. All the decisions were on me. And don't get me wrong, I would relive that again if I had to. There's no regrets. I don't regret anything that I did. And again, like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it again. But we all need that support.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We need it. And I'll never forget, one of my dad's sisters called me one day and she said, she says, I listen at you talk. And you always say, well, he's my responsibility. He's my responsibility. She said, guess what? He's our brother and he's our responsibility too.
That's right.
She says, so if it's financial support, emotional support, whatever, you need to speak up.
Yeah.
You need to speak up and ask because we're here ready to come and help.
That's right.
Any way that we can. So support, a strong support system. I can't stress it enough.
Yeah.
I can't.
So let me ask the question. I'm just going to interject here. So what do you do when you just don't have the help? I mean, you got a lot of people out there that just don't have the help. Right? Yeah. So what do you, I mean, I know what you could say you had did concerts back then, but like I just shared with the people, listen, there is help in the community. Mm-hmm. They have organizations specifically to give respite care. Don't feel like you have to do this thing alone. You may feel that you're alone. We know that caregiving can be a lonely, frustrating, aggravating, disposition. However, reach out into the community, ask for help. Someone is there to help you. Call me. I'll come help you. Call, we'll get you some resources because it's really about the resources in the different communities in the different states. Every state have their own alignment with what they do, but there is help in the community. For real, for real. Don't go this thing alone. Don't do it alone. There's help. Call your neighbor. Have your neighbor just come over and sit with you your parent or whoever it may be. And I'm letting Nadia finish her thing because I can talk about this thing all day. When they ask you, what can you talk about all day, baby? I can talk about caregiving, professional and family caregiving, 365 to 24/7.
Now, let me ask you this, Miss Sherrell. So, since they can get these resources in their community,
Yes,
and I know it, like you said, it's based on your state and what's available, but what is there like a website or a organization that they can reach out to just tap into the caregiver resources?
absolutely. They can go to www.caregiverresources.com. That's the quickest way to get to it. I mean, they have a whole slew of resources. Then they even break it down into different entities. What specifically are you looking for? They have dementia support groups. They have uh, Alzheimer resources. They have whatever you're looking for. I'm telling you, cancer, leukemia. They have support groups and respite care for everything. You have to reach out to the people. It is there. It really is. Because I know for me, if I'm having a hard time, my sisters and brothers just can't kick in, I am definitely going to reach out into the community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to reach out to people. It doesn't matter, the diversity, the culture. I know different cultures do different things. We have to respect that. That's understandable. However, there is someone for you.
Yeah.
Reach out. Reach out to people. You don't have to do this thing alone.
Thank you for that. All right. So
Absolutely.
at this point, we are going to get our final thoughts in. Miss Constance, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and give us your final thoughts. And also, if you have anything special coming up that we need to look forward to, please
Amen.
mention that and give us your contact info.
Sure. So for anyone who's caregiving, Sherrell gave some great guidance. Also, there's AARP.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to them, the Council on Aging. Talk to the person's doctor, physician. Talk with them, and they can refer you to home health services or whatever. They may have some resources. And sometimes just having a general conversation with people, and they will start asking questions, and they may mention something. I was talking to a friend of mine one day about his father-in-law, and I said, well, wait a minute. Has he ever been in the military? He said, yeah. I said, well, okay,
Wow.
you need to contact the VA and see what
Mm-hmm.
they can do. And he's like, I didn't think about that. And so,
Wow.
just having general conversations with people, asking, talk to your neighbors, talk to your minister, people at church, in the grocery store, whatever. And you'd be surprised the wealth of information you may run across. Now, for me, I have my anthology that's going to be released this fall, which Sherrell's a part of, called The Invisible Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a compilation. There's 14 of us strong. And we're talking about stories where we had issues and we overcame those issues, our success.
Yes.
Okay. And so I know for me, it was just overcoming self-sabotaging behaviors due to childhood obesity. I struggled with obesity for 47 years of my life.
Wow.
Wow.
And, once I overcame the weight, I still had issues I had to address.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what, that's where this came from, the invisible soul. That's where that concept came from, because during that struggle, I was an invisible soul.
Wow.
And just by
Powerful.
seeing me every day and talking to me every day, you never would know. But I was an invisible soul. So that's one thing I have on the horizon coming up. I also have a podcast that's going strong right now, the Speakeasy Podcast. We broadcast on Sundays. We also broadcast the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, and we are talking about dating and Christian relationships. And then starting on the first and third, we'll be talking about your money matters. Okay. So I have all type of financial experts, realtors, bankers coming in to talk with us about investment, how to manage our money, your credit, purchase your first time home, investment properties, you name it, we will be discussing it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, how do we connect with you so we can take in all of this?
Sure. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. and Instagram at Anointed Educator. And then my website is www.constancewoolard.com.
All right.
Man. Yeah,
All
a lot going on.
Yes,
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 sounds amazing.
Yes, that's
Sherrell,
beautiful.
visionary of For the Love of Caregiving anthology and the Global Caregivers Network. Come
Yeah,
on and give us your final thoughts and let us know what else you have going on.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Nadia. I just want to give kudos to you, my queen sister, Queen Constance. It's been wonderful. And let me just share this. We are all doing something, right? But God have us in our lane of brilliance. This is what we do. I learned that from Dr. Sherrell. Just stay in your lane of brilliance, right? You do the fempreneur, Constance do what she do, all these things. I I already told you yesterday, I can't do everything. And guess what? I can't. You see what I'm saying? I'm still full-time in the civilian world dealing with the mental neuropsychiatric patients.
Yeah.
So I'm like a snail, but guess what? I'm slow and steady.
That's all right. Just keep on moving, sis. Keep on moving. That's
Hey
it.
man, you know that turtle that came up at the end? What was that? That turtle
that's
that
the
came
tortoise in the
flying to
hair. The
the end?
tortoise in the hair. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That's
Yes,
who I am.
indeed.
He came flying at the end, man. But anyway, yes. So let me just put this out there for the viewers and the listening audience. So Rosalind Carter, remember Rosalind Carter,
Uh-huh.
the first lady to
Yes.
President Jimmy Carter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she have a wonderful Rosalind Caregiver Institute, right? Rosalind Carter Institute. It was established in 1987. She was the first one to institute anything per se dealing with caregiver, right? So her thing was this. She was dealing with her mother that had dementia. So by her mother having dementia, she just came up with the institute. So now she have this thing going national, right? You never know where this thing is going. She was taking care of her mom and her dad, I think, at home. I know there was some dementia in there. And from there, it stemmed the Rosalind Carter Institute. So guess what? I just want to leave the viewers with this. Because there are so many things that we do as a caregiver, there are four types. Listen to me what I'm saying. There are four types of caregivers, right? You have home health care, according to Rosalind Carter. And we have to distinguish the difference. There are four types of caregivers, according to Rosalind Carter. One is the home health care, one is the assisted living facilities, another is nursing homes, and then another is the adult daycare facilities. These and Rosalind Carter during that era, right, was the four types of caregivers. So what do we see today? I see professional and family caregiving added to that list because what she looked at during her era was professionals, right? You got all these different types of caregiving. Then I just broke it down into professional and family, just added to the list. And so, with that being said, if you are a caregiver, continue to be the best caregiver you are that you can be. Give quality care. Don't be raggedy about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody just want anybody. Think of that person as your mom, your dad, or whoever you're taking care of. Do
Yeah.
it with tenacity, do it with care. You know what I'm saying? The three pillars of the Global Caregivers Network is this. We are caring for the people, right? And we always looking for the people and we always giving more care towards the people. And so this is what we do: caring, compassion, always have compassion for people.
Yeah.
For the love of caregiving, you see that heart and that love up there? That's what it's about. It's about your heart, baby. It's a heart thing. And so with everything that you do, those that hear me under the sound of my voice, do it with love, do it with compassion, and just think of that. Give on to people what you want done to you.
Yeah.
Don't be raggedy about doing stuff. We can do stuff and kind of be slothful about some things, but be the best. Be the best. Be the best at what you do. I like just like they always say, the housekeeping guy. The housekeeping guy keep the building clean. Hello,
Yeah.
right? I always acknowledge the housekeepers. They keep the building clean. They make sure everything is in order. So you acknowledge everyone. Be the best caregiver ever. How do you connect with Miss Sherrell D. Mims? You can connect with me at Sherrell at globalcaregivers.net. Listen, we can talk on the phone. 261-260-218-3377. I love talking on the phone. I love social media, but I'm telling you right now, I love getting back to the basic. Let's talk on the phone. You can always go to my Facebook page, Global Caregivers Network, which is a private group exclusively for caregivers, and the Global Caregiver Speakers. Let's connect. Let's talk about it. Join us. In any one of those, email, phone number, or on Facebook. That's how you can connect with me, Sherrell D. Mims. Reach out to me and connect with me. Reach out to Constance, reach out to Nadia. We're all doing something. And I'm telling you right now, something that we're doing is definitely going to connect with you. We're
Yes.
relatable and we love you. You see what it says right there? For the love of caregiving. Let's do this thing with love, baby. That's my story, as Les Brown would say, and I'm sticking to it.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming on tonight. I certainly enjoyed the both of you, the wealth of information that you have provided for our caregivers, even those of us that think we are not caregivers. We are
Mhm.
caregivers. So make sure that
Yes.
you get the support you need for yourself and your
Mhm.
family member, or if it's work related, whoever may need some help, give this information out, y'all. Connect with these ladies, connect
Yes.
with Miss Constance, connect with Miss Sherrell, connect with
Mhm.
me. We are all connected to great resources, other
Yeah.
great women doing great
Mhm.
things. So either
Absolutely.
way, whether it's about caregiving or just you need a shoulder, you need some support in anything, we
Sure.
are here. So
Absolutely.
I want to thank our audience for tuning in tonight. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming on.
Mhm.
Guys, this has been another episode of Power Conversation Podcast Live.
Yes.
Join us for more book discussions and spotlights of amazing women doing
Mhm.
amazing things. Check out our platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And don't forget, What's Your Superpower TV. Join us next time, Power Conversations. Have a good night.
Good night.